We are back here on Southeastern 16. I'm Chase Robinson talking SEC football as we continue with three bold predictions for each SEC team. And today we got the Tennessee Volunteers up. So I'll give you three bold predictions on the Vols coming up in 2024. But first, let me tell you about BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head over to the online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, unwind with one of the over 150 slots games. Head over to the website today to get in on the action, and you can use promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. That is promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online, the game starts here. Lots of high expectations on the Vols coming up in 2024. And rightfully so. They got a good football team. They've got quarterback Nico Iamaleava. Hopefully I got that name right. As is looking forward to seeing him. We got a sneak peek at him in the Citrus Bowl and excited to see what the Vols look like. So I've got three bold predictions for the Vols coming up in 2024. The first one, the defense leads the country in sacks. So last year, they were the top team of the SEC in sacks. They finished 9th in the country in sacks. But the way this defensive line is shaping up this year, I think they definitely could be one of the best in the country. So my bold prediction is that the Tennessee defense leads the country in sacks. And a big part of that will be James Pierce. He had 10 sacks last year. And then you combine him with Omari Thomas and Omar Norman Lott. They're a tough duo. Joshua Josephs had 3 sacks as well. So those guys on the defensive front there for Tennessee, man, they're quick. They're big. They get around those offensive linemen. And I think Tennessee could lead the country in sacks. So that's one bold prediction is not only leading the SEC in sacks, but the Vols leading the entire country in sacks. And again, they finished 9th in that category in the country last year. So that's my first bold prediction. Tennessee leads the country in sacks. Number 2, my second bold prediction has to do with Nico Iamaleava. He finishes as a top 3 quarterback in the SEC in total yards. All right, so I feel like this is kind of a year of the quarterbacks in the SEC. Obviously, you got Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers and Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart, Graham Mertz, all these guys who are coming back, who have been starters for their team last year, and they're coming back. I think we've got a lot of really good quarterbacks in the conference this year. But I think Iamaleava definitely has a chance with some of the receivers he has, especially to have a lot of to have a big number next to his yardage when the season's all said and done. So again, with it being kind of the year of the quarterback in the SEC, and I think he definitely is going to be up there as one of the best. But my bold prediction, he finishes as a top 3 quarterback in the SEC in total yards. I really like what I've seen from him going back and watching the Citrus Bowl game against Iowa and what he did, and then watching some of the spring as well. This is a very talented quarterback that Tennessee has that they'll be putting on the field this year. And I definitely think he could be a guy that finishes top 3 in the SEC in a year where the quarterbacks are so good. Again, you mentioned the guys, or I mentioned the guys who kind of have their starting job solidified. You can throw Peyton Thorne in there, and as well as he gets the starting job at Auburn. But so many good quarterbacks in the SEC, so many dynamic quarterbacks. But I love Iamaleava's arm. I love his receivers. And so, hey, my bold prediction, he finishes as a top 3 quarterback in the SEC in total yards in 2024. And my third bold prediction is kind of goes off Nico Iamaleava. In order for him to be a top 3 quarterback of the SEC in total yards, well, he's got to have some receivers. And so my bold prediction, Squirrel White leads the SEC in receiving yards. So last year, Squirrel White finished with 67 receptions, 803 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He averaged about 12 yards per catch. I think Squirrel White, my bold prediction is that he leads the SEC in receiving yards because he's got such a dynamic quarterback in Nico who can get him the ball. And so they've got some really good receivers. You look at some of the other guys. You got, let's see, Brew McCoy coming back. He was injured some last year. Dante Thornton Jr. Back. Chris Brazel transferred in from Tulane. And so you got a lot of really good receivers there for the Tennessee Vols. But I think Squirrel White, that's my bold prediction. You'll hear a lot of Squirrel White over the year for Tennessee. But my bold prediction, he leads the SEC in receiving yards. And again, it will definitely help having a guy like Nico Iamaleava as the quarterback. So those are my 3 bold predictions. First one, defense leads the country in sacks. Second, Iamaleava finishes as top 3 quarterback in the SEC in total yards. And number 3, Squirrel White leads the SEC in receiving yards. I think it could be a really fun year for the Vols coming up in 2024. Again, they'll start the season off against Chattanooga on August the 31st. A lot to be excited about if you're Tennessee and the Vols and Josh Heupel. I think this is going to be a fun year. Kind of reminds me a little bit of 2022 with the amount of talent that they have on the field this year. So we'll be covering the Tennessee Vols all season long, along with the rest of the SEC here on Southeastern 16. We got you covered with SEC football, basketball, and baseball. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our channel. You can like this video. Also share it with your friends. Spread the word about Southeastern 16. You can also follow us on Twitter at 16 Southeastern to keep up with everything we have going on here at the channel. And if you want to sponsor our content, we'd love to have a conversation with you about that as well. Chase at southeastern14.com. You can shoot me an email, or caroline.smith at southeastern14.com. And we can start those conversations about what it looks like to sponsor our content here at Southeastern 16. But we're all over it, covering SEC sports and SEC football as we get ready for the season here on Southeastern 16. I'm Chase Robinson as we keep you covered with SEC football on Southeastern 16.